Good morning. We are, I believe, on week 10 of making dog food, and I want to do something a little bit different. So thanks for joining me for another week of homemade dog food. Last week I did some split peas and okra, and I threw it in the freezer. This was the leftover, so I'm going to go ahead and microwave this to get it all soft so I can put it in the jars. Just going to warm it. I baked off some baked potatoes. I just threw them in the microwave. I cooked off my ground beef right here. And then I went in the garden and I pulled some parsley, oregano, and mint, chopped it up, and I'm going to toss this in with the meat, let it wilt a little bit, and then put it in with our potatoes. We're going to do a vegetable. I also dug through my refrigerator and freezer. So I have a little bit more blueberries, so I'm going to pop those in there. Then if you have frozen bananas in your freezer thinking, oh, I'm going to use those, don't throw them away, we're going to use them, and then your freezer all of a sudden has 25 of these lovely, beautiful brown bananas, this is perfect for dog food. So I pulled them out. They're getting a little soft. What I'm going to do is I'm going to peel them, I'm going to chunk them, and then I'm going to drop them into the jars. The dogs are going to love them. They're going to be sweet. They're still good. They're still good. I use them for smoothies, but I just have too many. I mean, come on. You only need a couple in there. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dice up my potatoes, and I'll be right back in a minute. Okay, it's done. It doesn't need to be completely thawed because I'm going to drop it back into my jars and it's going to go back in the freezer, but I need it so I can put it into the jars. So I have that ready. My parsley, oregano, and mint is in my meat. What I am going to do, because I've been scooping this into the jars, and one thing that I noticed, and I don't really like it, is I'll layer the jars, and then when I scoop this in there, it kind of sticks to the side, and it kind of becomes this lump, and it's not incorporated in all of the food, so they're not getting it. Like one of the dogs is probably getting a big lump of that. So I'm going to switch that up. So this is my organic kelp. Smells kelpy. It's seaweed. I'm going to sprinkle that into the meat. The meat is turned off. The reason I'm sprinkling into the meat when it's turned off is because I don't want to cook this. I don't want to take away any nutrients or anything like that. So I have that. I'm going to go ahead and hide those blueberries in there because I noticed this past week Claire was picking out the blueberries. She's getting sneakier. So I have to be better than her. All right, I got my flaxseed. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the meat. Flaxseed. Flaxseed is good for their indigestion. Organic kelp. Why are we doing that, Diane? Because that was good for their teeth. Remember, it's like a natural toothbrush. That was good. Blueberries is going to be good for, it's an anti-inflammatory and it's an antioxidant. So it's going to help Clara with her tumors that she has on her liver and on her spleen. I have my extra. I'm just going to dump that in there too. Turmeric. So the coconut oil and the turmeric. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and sprinkle this into the meat so I know that they're both getting it because there's no reason not to be giving George turmeric also. So I'm going to sprinkle that. We're pretty much just layering this meat up. We're making super meat. Okay, so I'm going to stir this up. Oh, we got to do our bananas. Here's what I was going to do with the bananas. Cut off the ends. Throw that in the composter. Pop it off like this. It's frozen. This is what you go ahead and throw into a smoothie. Pull off that. Now, I am just going to chunk it up like this. If you're not good with a knife, don't do that, because these are Cutco, they're very sharp. And then I'm just going to pop these bananas into the jars. And they're going to freeze, and they're going to be tasty treats. All right, I'm going to cut my potatoes. I'm going to finish my bananas. I'm going to stir this up, and then I'll come back and show you how we're going to put them in the jars and what vegetable I add. Okay, I think we're ready. So it's 7:10 right now. I think I started doing all this about 6:35. So I browned off my ground beef, and then I added into that the mint, oregano, and parsley. And then I just microwaved my potatoes. These potatoes were still good. I just had bought another bag of red potatoes last week, and so there was, I think, maybe 6. So I thought, why keep them? Just pop them in the microwave cook them off, put them for the dog food, because I've been using rice and beans and things like that, and I want to switch it up. So here's a tip from last week. We did okra. That was the first time I ever had done okra in the dog food. And though it was okay, I did find it on the garage floor every once in a while with a blueberry or two. So I think that Clara didn't really care for the okra. Of course, George eats anything when it comes to, if it's touching meat, he'll eat it. But Claire's a little bit pickier. So I found okra on the floor with a couple blueberries. So this week, I'm going to switch them to the lovely lima bean. We're going to try it. All right, so I got my jars ready. So I'm basically going to take my meat mixture and dump it in. I'm going to add a couple potatoes. I'm going to add my bananas. Do four per jar right now. And then that way if I have extra, new extra. Cutco scissors, they're the best. Okay, lima beans. I love frozen vegetables like this. Okay, I'm gonna do some lima bean. And that's really gonna be it. You're gonna love it this week. I hope. All right, I'm gonna fill my jars and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm done with my jars. I ended up making 6 this week because last week I made 7 and I still have one in the freezer that I'm gonna use up. So these jars turned out to be really good this week. So we have our ground beef that we added a ton of stuff to. We added turmeric, organic kelp, the flaxseed. I used a little bit of the food last week that was in the freezer and added that to it. So there was blueberries and okra and split peas. And then we have the ground beef. I added in my herbs to that to kind of wilt them a little bit. And that was oregano, parsley, and mint, which is going to be good for them. Here's a little bean. Then I baked off the potatoes and I added those. I pulled some frozen bananas out of the freezer, cut those up, put those in there, and then I have lima beans, which is going to be good because that's even more protein. So this is a really good jar for them. I'm excited to see. I think they're going to like everything in it. So if you are finding things on the floor by your dog bowl, chances are they're picking it out and they don't like that. So you can omit that, or what you do is you mix it in with your meat, because once it has the meat flavor, they'll pretty much eat anything. So, but when you're layering things like that, those vegetables aren't getting the meat flavoring like they did when I just threw them in there. So in the pan, I still have quite a bit left because this week there was just more ingredients because I cleaned out my refrigerator and freezer. So there's more ingredients. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a container and I'm going to put that in the freezer. And then next week, I'm going to use that as part of the food for my jars. So again, if you want to watch more on how to make homemade dog food, look on the links in the Chef Diane Collins in the YouTube channel. And there's a lot more recipes with different ingredients. And then also dog food. Let's talk about dog food real quick in case this is your first time watching. So dog food legally has to be shelf stable for 3 years. So there's a lot of preservatives in it. So if you can make part of your dog food, there's a couple benefits. One, you know that they're going to get better ingredients that's not processed. There's going to be less poop in your yard. I got to tell you, George is a big pooper and there's less poop in my yard. When I pick up his poop, I can see what he's digesting and I can see how things are going for him. And everything was good this week. I know the prior week, I found a lot of black beans in it. So his body isn't really digesting black beans, or I had too many in there. So then you can kind of adjust what you're doing for your dog. Somebody did text me, or I don't know who it was. They said their dogs were allergic to green beans, that they found out their dogs were allergic to green beans. So this is really just a trial. I'm not an expert. I just know what my dogs eat. So I just keep trying different things. And if they don't like something like the okra, I'm not going to buy that again. I'm not going to force them to eat something they don't want. When I know that they like lima beans, green beans, what else have I been using? I'm like totally blank. It's still really early. I'm only on my first cup of coffee. Mixed vegetables, you know, they like broccoli, carrots, cauliflower, things like that. So I'm not going to force them to eat okra. I don't even eat okra. Who eats okra besides being fried? Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed week 10 of making dog food. And if you have any questions, give me a call. But also go to YouTube channel Chef Diane Collins and subscribe if you're watching this on Facebook or somewhere else. Okay, have a great Sunday. It's Father's Day. Bye. Just remember, Don't put all of these in the refrigerator. Put 2 in the refrigerator to use over the next 2 days. Put the rest in the freezer and bring them out as you need them, because this is real food. And by the end, by next Sunday, it's going to be wonky and you don't want to be feeding your dogs that. Okay, take care.